too many more of those.
He's one of the crowd favourites, or the crowd favourite.
Oh, that's a shame for her. That's a refusal, second refusal, and she walks out of the arena.
Look at the power in that horse. Look how low they get to the ground.
That's really going to upset the rhythm that he's got going there.
And yep, there's your winner. It's the event the Australian equine world looks forward to each year. "50,000 people march through the gates of the Melbourne showgrounds to discover a horsey heaven for anyone associated with the equine world in any way. 5 exhibition arenas showcased more than 300 new and innovative products, while an array of presenters, laced with international talent,
Okay, then take the rein again.
ensured there were plenty of tips to take away.
Shoulder. Good.
And the overriding element of the 4 days, a wonderful carnival atmosphere. Hello and welcome to the main arena of the Equitana Australian Open, a purpose-built facility that forms the centrepiece of this spectacular 4-day equine extravaganza. Now, over the next 90 minutes, you'll see precision horsemanship in dressage, jumping and eventing, as well as the flair and colour of barrel racing, cutting and reining. And to help us pull it all together, we've saddled up equestrian experts Hamish Cargill and Brett Parbury.
Mark, in the eventing competition alone, we've got 4 Australian Olympians. Megan Jones and Shane Rose, both silver medalists from Beijing. We've got Stuart Tinney, gold medal from Sydney 2000. And of course, Sam Griffiths, recently returned from the London Games.
And in the dressage, we have current defending champion Heath Ryan, not to mention Mary Hannah, home from her 4th Olympic Games, and new Australian champion Marie Tompkinson.
And let's not forget, in the show jumper, we've got teenage sensation Evie Buller, looking to make history as the youngest Australian winner of the Australian World Cup League.
Now, as these pack stands suggest, the Equitana Australian Open, in just its 3rd year, is already massively popular with horse fans and sports fans alike. And it's certainly value for money, with basically 2 major events rolled into one, guys.
Yeah, we've got these fantastic Western events, which is the country coming to the city. Kicks off with the Reining, which is a little bit like dressage in a Western saddle.
And we have barrel racing, sport for the ladies, done at speed, just like Formula 1 on horseback.
And let's not forget about the cutting, which is horse and rider versus cow.
So stand by, there's action aplenty, starting with Grand Final jumping. And this is a wonderful spectator sport, especially on an indoor arena. It's speed versus the risk factor, of course.
Yeah, this is a great sport. I love indoor show jumping. Really brings the crowd into the picture. The jumps are massive. This is World Cup. This is 1.50 m plus. It's as big as it gets in terms of show jumping.
But it's not easy. We see lots of riders bringing down fences, particularly early. You have to qualify through the first round if you're going to compete for the big prize.
Yeah, so that's it. You want to have a clear round here, leaving all the rails up and not having any refusals. Rail down is 4 penalty points. They can add up pretty quickly to be some high scores, especially with this indoor arena.
And the triple in the first round caused a lot of problems for a lot of people, particularly Merrick, who was Hugh Jackman's double in Australia, wasn't he? He wouldn't have minded a double take at that, I would have thought.
I think that's one of his biggest claims to fame. Here's one of our New Zealand riders, Bridget Hanson. She's been in Sydney for a little while now, having a great year in World Cup show jumping here in Australia. That's a shame for her. That's a refusal, so that second refusal there means elimination, and she walks out of the arena.
Here's Jamie Kermond. What's going on with the facial hair?
Yeah, I don't think he has that all the time. I'm not sure who he's trying to impress, but I'm not sure if his partner Jamie Winning will be loving it.
Well, impressed with his work over the jumps, that's for sure. And going in, one of the favourites, Alison Rowland.
Yeah, look, she's one to keep an eye on. This horse having great season in World Cup jumping, and it's a lovely mare all the way over from Western Australia. Alison, one of a few riders that have come over for the Equitana jumping.
And that's the only clear round we've seen to date. She's in the lead. Here's one of the crowd favourites, or the crowd favourite, Evie Buller. She needs to be clean as well, such as this competition.
Yeah, she's the young gun on the show jumping scene. Evie from Western Australia, just like Alison Rowland, and they're really coming out in force here at Equitana in this Equestrian Grand Final. Evie leading the World Cup League in Australia this season, and you can see why. Horse jumping very well so far tonight. But unfortunately, there's a rail down, so that's 4 penalties to add to her score. That's all right. That doesn't mean too much yet, but she can't afford to have too many more of those.
Competition's so tight, that might mean we don't see her again, unfortunately.
8 penalties is going to be hard to get through to the second round.
How hard is that course?
It's really tough. It's big enough, it's really wide. To get to the fences out of the turns are quite difficult. Yeah, it's a tough track.
And you did it with one eye?
I did lose my contact lens halfway around, and it was sort of just sitting on my cheek, and when I came out it actually fell in my glove.
So I've got a very good horse, and I'm very new at this level, and we've done very well this year for our first step up to this level, and we're a new name on the scene, both he and I, so it's sort of turning a few heads and people starting to notice a lot.
Her horse is Yolambi's Landor, and her name is Evie Buller, a teenage show jumping sensation from a tiny town in the West Australian wheat belt.
In the Shire there's about 350 people living there, and so it's not really a very horsey area. It's mostly just crops and sheep and the odd cow, but yeah, my family's now well into the horses and we enjoy it a lot.
So how did it happen for you?
My dad, eventually I convinced him to buy me a horse.
She said to me, what's the point of having all these sheep and these acres if you can't buy a little girl a horse? Because I was saying how she was pestering me a bit, and I thought, well, yeah, it's probably a fair point.
He eventually got conned into buying one, and then now he's in love with the sport as well. He's obsessed with it.
Best decision you ever made?
Yeah, I'm not sure about that. No, financially, perhaps not.
My horse and I, we know each other inside out, and he'd do anything for me. Yeah, if you both work together, then you turn out to be better competitors, I guess.
After Equitana, the next hurdle is the World Games in France.
Oh, the horse is at least 50% of the deal. Like, if they haven't got the talent, then you're never going to get there. But if you're going to be lucky enough to pull a good one like I have, then you're a long way in front.
Start your engines. There's power and plenty of it for the prize they all want to win. The Equestrian Grand Final jumping. It's the finale, the Equitana Australian Open. Welcome back to Equitana, and we go back inside the main arena for the Be The Influence Equestrian Grand Final jumping. This is enormous. That's why the people are here. This is what they want to see. The athletes warming up before us. And of course, Hamish Cargill is alongside of me to call the action. The tension is mounting.
It sure is. Big night here, big occasion, this second round of the World Cup class. Everyone wants to win it. It's big money on offer, but it's also a very prestigious class to be here in the Equestrian Grand Final jumping.
Tim Clark here. He just scraped into the final. He knocked over our Evie Buller. He brought in 8 penalty points, and he needs to be very, very clean here if he's to get anywhere near the lead. Yeah,
and as you can see this second round, what's happened, they've pulled some jumps out. The course is now shorter, and the riders will be taking tighter lines. They'll be riding faster because time is now a factor as well as the penalties.
Now here's Sharon Slater on Ulysses. 4 penalty points going in, and a clear round here could put her in the lead from Pitt Town, New South Wales. She's quality.
Yeah, well, what you see is apart from our current leader, Alison Rowland, these riders are all on 4 penalties, so they're all quite even and anyone can still win it, really. So Sharon looking to put a clear round and a quick round down on the board, and that's going to put her in very strong position and put a lot of pressure on the rest of the riders that are still to come.
Tactically it's hard, isn't it? How hard do you go? You need to get clear, but you also need to post a time.
Yeah, well, that's it, and these riders, they really need to know their horses. But that's a clear round for Sharon Slater in a time 61.51. Great round for her.
That will be hard to beat. Here's Jamie winning on Alpha Centauri. 4 penalty points going in as well. Not necessarily overly quick, But as we say, you can approach this in all sorts of ways. It's a tricky course, that's for sure.
It sure is. And look, Jamie might be just looking to... Oh dear, we've seen her just lose her footing there, Alpha Centauri.
It's okay, it seems horse and rider are fine. That is the good news. Good news for Jamie Kermond. He's Jamie's partner, in fact, so he's had to put that behind him. I wish he'd put that moustache behind him, my friend.
That's what she might be thinking. But look, Jamie, one of Australia's most experienced, still a relatively young jockey, but he's done a very good job in a short career. And Jamie, look at him, he just turns up tight into that big 11B. It's a big combination there. Jumping takes his time on the corner there where Jamie winning just fell.
4 points, just 4 penalty points going in. So if he can keep it clean from here, he can move into the lead.
Yeah, well, it just depends how his time goes. But look, he's jumping very clearly here. Great job, he keeps his lines tight, and that's where so much time can be saved in these rounds, even in a relatively small indoor arena.
I think the greys go faster, by the way.
Oh, is that right? That's your expert opinion?
Correct.
Well, very interesting. I never bet on them in the races, but who knows in the show jumping. Last fence. Last fence down for Jamie Kermond.
He brought that one down, and that's cost him a chance of winning. Sam Williams now, straight on with it. High Rail Saltbush from Tom and Buck in Victoria.
Sam, he's had a good World Cup season so far. He's a quick rider too, Sam Williams. Very careful horse, jumping well there. They're all taking their toll. A little bit of a slip there on that corner.
And great first round, mate. He was quick.
Yeah, and you look at him. He's riding with such composure. Great to see for, once again, a young rider. There's a rail down. That's going to mean so Sharon Slater still is our provisional leader with Alison Rowland still to come, of course. Sam just looking to keep the damage to a minimum after having the 4 penalties there for that rail down, and obviously a quick time's going to put him in a really strong position. Clear over the last, and a time of 57.87.
Good finish, it was super quick. Now here is the leader, Alison Rowland, the only rider to complete the first round clear without a mistake. So this is a really interesting tactical battle now for Alison on Bickley Brook Bella. She can afford to make one mistake if she keeps the pace up, or she could go slow and not make a mistake.
Yeah, this is where you wonder what to do as a rider. Do you play the lottery a bit here? Do you go out and just try to be careful and leave all the rails up and guarantee yourself a win on a clear round? Or do you go a little quicker but risk having the rail down? But if you do have that rail down, you might still win it because you've got the fastest time. So she's, at the moment, Sharon Slater is a big competition, and she's got a time of 61.51 already on the board. She's in the clubhouse happily, and there we go. Bickley Brook Bella just edging around that corner.
She's not going slow, is she? She's having a genuine crack at it. She's a competitor, there's no doubt about that. She'll be backing herself to be clear once more.
And you've got to, I think, these riders are riding at such a high level. Alison, one of the more experienced riders on the Australian show jumping scene. So she'll back herself, of course, and she'll back the horse. It's a lovely mare. It jumped super in the first round, so why wouldn't you? She just knows she's going to go out and do what she would normally do, just stick to her normal game plan. And look at her, she's jumping amazingly.
She's nearly there. Here we go.
Last fence, done it easily. The crowd goes wild. Well done, Alison Rowland. A convincing victory on Bickley Brook Bella, the 10-year-old bay mare. Wow, what an amazing competition, dominated by Alison Rowland.
It was great. She did not make a mistake, and there's Rod Lockwood there, the Equitana director, presenting the Be the Influence Equestrian Grand Final jumping trophy and the cheque. Big money in this too, the prize pool $26,000, and the horse is happy.
Up close and personal there with Bickley Brook Bella.
Well said, Hamish. A perfect performance from Alison Rowland. 4 penalty points for Sharon Slater in second, and Sam Williams takes third ahead of Jamie Kermond. His time in the second round was the fastest of that final round. Great stuff.
We want to take this one away next year and try and qualify for the team for the World Equestrian Games in Normandy in France. So, all these classes, and that was tough. It's a good indication of whether, she's good enough. You don't really know until you start doing it.
So the horse is good, and we know you're very good.
Oh, well, it's easy when you've got an easy horse to ride. And she is easy. She's just the nicest horse.
Now, how did your contacts go, by the way?
They stayed in that time. Yeah, they were fine.